All right, it says we're live. I believe we're live, hanging out with you guys on YouTube and Twitter or X Twitter or whatever it is. And we welcome in our Facebook Live group as well. You guys know what to do as we get rolling here in the Arctic Air Studios. And hopefully your air was Arctic today. You guys give us thumbs up and hearts if the audio is good, the video is good. Jump on that text line, 806-772-0197. As we got a Bandwagon Wednesday show brought to you in part by Premier Sportsplex in Lubbock, where the game is on. They got their Shocks fall tournaments coming up, so get your basketball teams ready to go. And by Lifts West Hotel and Condominium in Red River, home of the legendary Bull of the Woods. I need some mountains, man. We got it. It's a psychological deal for me now with the temperatures being around 100. It's a physical deal for my son playing football, but it's psychological for me. Craig is in. The talking box is on. Weston is jumping in early. Our man Weston out there. How you doing? Michael out there, a simultaneous sip as we allow the early arrivals to get in and do what you need to do. You can invite people in on product placement. Crappy work, Hyatt. That's a little better on the product placement there. Too bad. So yeah, if you are on Twitter or Facebook, or pardon me, Twitter or YouTube, I'm losing track of how many places we are live now. We want you guys to use the text line 806-772-0197 to chime in. Just like the radio show, it's easy, it's simple, and that way we won't miss any of your comments because otherwise I don't see it live. We've got so many places we're on. See you there in late October, early November. We're going to do our best to be there. It depends on the old football schedule at that point. All right, let's get going down the road, shall we, today? A lot of things to get to, including fake outrage, faux outrage by the college football people. In 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com. The website starts your day every morning there. We usually have a question of the day posted. We'll tell you what's coming up. We'll give you the Raiderland Hot Links, which is a collection of links, tweets, different stories out there that we find interesting, sports or otherwise, that we hope you will find interesting. HatTipOutkick.com, Joe Kinsey, and the screen caps, total ripoff that we are morphing. And we kind of think of ourselves as the West Texas affiliate there on screen caps. But if you see something that you think is cool, send it to us. You can post it in the comments section, and we might include it in the next day's run. But not quite a week old on the hot links and really getting some good feedback on that. Brought to you, like we said, by Premier Sportsplex, 5 locations, including the Apex locations. They have free pickleball, not just playing pickleball, but lessons. The first Wednesday of every month, free pickleball clinic. It's sweeping the nation. Even Alan Corbin is playing pickleball these days. Picketball is completely different. That's what's going on in California with the Screen Access strike and the Writers' strike. Pickleball, taking the country by storm. I've yet to play it. Also brought to you by Lifts West Hotel and Condominium, the heart of Red River. If you're looking for something right by the ski run, literally ski in, ski out, basically, you're looking for Lifts West, my man Billy will take care of you. All right, let's get it going. Bandwagon Wednesday. The bandwagons you're on, the bandwagons you are off. Sports or otherwise, listener created, audience created, like so many good things here in Raiderland. We want to hear from you on that today. Kick around some Texas Tech football. Not a whole lot going on here in the August camp right now. They had the big watermelon feed yesterday, so of course Don Williams hung around at practice extra, because why wouldn't he? Don getting really good, by the way, with the phone pictures and them utilizing them in the AJ online. It's pretty good. I'm proud of Don. That's a neat tradition. It started in 1970 with Jim Carlin, and it has continued on. But you want a boring August. You want very boring camp. You don't want controversy. You don't want so-and-so has been removed from the roster. We will not comment on that. You don't want injuries. You don't need drama. And Joey McGuire's camp has been drama-free for the Red Raiders. The excitement will be Brett Yormark coming to speak at the Red Raider Club kickoff luncheon, or is it the Red? I think let's just give the Red Raider Club credit for it. Everybody seems to have a finger in that pie these days. You've got the Chamber of Commerce, like the breakfast, and then you got the lunch, and you got this and that. Anyhow, he's coming to Lubbock. That's pretty cool. He was on the Sports Business Journal podcast this week. It dropped this morning. You've probably seen some of the comments making a lot of news. The Big 12 is closed for business at this time, not looking to expand. Not looking to expand at this time. And there are some who are saying that there may be a movement afoot to change the name. Does the Big 12 need a name change? I say no. I don't care how many teams you have. Keep being the Big 12. You got 16 teams, you're still the Big 12. Big 10's not changing. You can be creative with it if you want to, but the Big 12 name still has, I think, and I could be wrong, this is where you guys can agree or disagree with me. You can text in if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter Live, or is it X Live? If you got too many X's, it hits the little filter on your computer and then you get in trouble. 806-772-0197. You must use the 806 to text in your thoughts, comments, bandwagons you're on, bandwagons you're off. Throw a few that I'm on and off here in a moment. 806-772-0197. Do we need to change the name of the Big 12? Because you could constantly be chasing a number. If the Big 12 were to change its name, I would suggest changing it to a name that does not have a number based on the number of teams in it. It's not the NFL 32. It's not the NFL 28. You know? If you change the name of the Big 12, change it to something without a name. Might I suggest the Southwest Conference? That'd be so cool. It'll never happen. In fact, I don't know if the Southwest Conference name is still protected by an LLC or not. That's a good question. Some of our more smart lawyer types could probably look it up. The Truck Stop Conference, the TSC, Border Conference, border to border, coast to coast on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Hello, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist. Give us some bandwagons you're on. Give us some bandwagon. Are you on the bandwagon of changing the Big 12 name or off the bandwagon? We find out that pretty much UConn and Gonzaga dead in the water. And that was probably a bridge too far for Brett Yormark, but I applaud it. And I would have been all about it if both of those had come in basketball only. And now you have the people at like CBSSports.com and stuff saying, oh, it would have been really bad for them to go to the Big 12. Really? Gonzaga salivates at the idea of joining a major conference like the Big 12 in basketball only. They would kill to do it. But I get why maybe the CEOs and the powers that be in the Big 12 look at getting to 16 and going, we got our win, double conference. Let's cool the Jets for a little bit and bring Nelly into the halftime show of the Big 12 Conference Championship game. Yeah, the Big 12 Conference presented by Dr. Pepper. Isn't it already presented by Dr. Pepper, basically? You guys probably don't have to deal with this in your everyday life when you're doing a podcast and a show and you get a strange itch on the back of your shoulder, but I do. Text line available for you, 806-772-0197. That's where people chime in who are watching YouTube Live or Twitter Live. You can comment on Twitter and YouTube during the show. I'm not going to see it. Multi-platform, third-party streaming, you got to winnow some of this down. Now, you Facebook people, you can jump in on the Say Something box. We are completely on the bandwagon today of school starting back. Here's to the teachers, here's to the students. Bus drivers, here's to bus drivers. And the routine and the schedule that gets everything back into it. Coming to you from the Lubbock area, I can tell you that the Lubbock in the metro area is completely dependent upon the public school schedule. Almost everything revolves around it. Things aren't right when school is out. Things get out of kilter. They get wonky. We get back in the schedule. We get back in the routine. It's good. It's good for families. It's good for kids. Kids thrive on routine, schedule discipline. 100%. They'll fight it. They'll say they hate it. They love it. They crave it. They need it. I am completely on the back to school bandwagon. Even if two of the people in my house this morning might not have been completely on bandwagon. The Dr. Pepper Conference. So, Damon, you just throw out any pretense and just say, get a corporate sponsor, just like a stadium. And whatever it is for 5 or 10 years, that's what you are. That we get rid of a cool name. Big 12's not all that cool. I'm not going to lie to you. We just go full on embrace the cash culture. Say this conference will be known as the highest bidder. Fill in the blank. I'm not necessarily off that bandwagon. Not completely off that bandwagon right there. Ryan is jumping in. Harry is jumping in. Steven's jumping in. Chris says not only sponsor the conference, but get sponsors for the different pods. Everything can be sponsored. Everything can be sponsored. As the show is presented to you by Premier Sportsplex tonight. The game is on Premier Sportsplex. Coming to you from the Arctic Air Studios, where the air, it's Arctic enough today inside. If your air is not Arctic, you need to call the Bear. Callthebear.com. Locally owned and operated. My man Shane, United States veteran. Check it out. Good stuff. So you guys can get in on the text line 806-772-0197. Bandwagon Wednesday. We'll get to TCU. We'll get to SMU and this faux outrage that is sweeping the college football elites, the medias, the blue check marks, everybody else, even some of the people who are responsible for all of this happening, this faux outrage that TCU and SMU have played 101 times for the iron skillet, that America may be deprived of that 3 years from now. Brett Yormark on that bandwagon. Yeah, we're completely on that bandwagon. The dude, he's making it happen. How will you live without the battle for the iron skillet? I do not know. I do not know. I do know that for the most part, for 100 years, nobody outside of TCU and SMU, and for the most part, even inside those circles, nobody gave a damn about the iron skillet. You go back just recently. I don't have to go back 10 years. I can go back 5 years. They played in front of 20,000 people. 20,000 people at SMU Stadium that holds 30. Wasn't a sellout at SMU. Huge, great, legendary rivalry. 32,000 a few. What year was that? It was 24,000. Okay, hold on. I can't read my own writing. 24,000 SMU 20 in the year. What year was that? Is that 18? Yeah, 2018. I mean, people don't really care about it anyways. The nation didn't care about the battle for the iron skillet. It was a little regional game that mattered not. OU says hi to Nebraska. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, a lot of these rivalry games, there are very few national rivalry games. You can count them on one hand. Army-Navy is national. Can you guys hear Finch outside my office door? Yeah. See, Finch, or Finmo, as his nickname is, that would be Finch, fear of missing out, Finmo. If you close the door, this cat will want to be in there. And this cat right now is outside the door wanting to be in here on the broadcast. Now, his brother, Scout, could care less. Actually, he could not care less. It would be impossible for that cat to care less that I am in here. But Finmo, on the other hand, is right outside the door letting us know that he wants to be in here. Most of the Metroplex probably didn't care about the iron skillet. They didn't. That's why they didn't have huge attendance at the game. That's why it wasn't selling out at SMU, at TCU. But all of a sudden, I am told that we are ruining the very fabric of our existence. Army-Navy national game. Auburn, Alabama, about the next closest. Texas and A&M, regional game. Regional game. Most of the rest of the country didn't give a damn. OU, Nebraska, regional game. Most of the country didn't give a damn. UCLA, USC. Most of the country, most of the time, didn't really give a damn. These are regionalized games. There's only, again, the closest outside Army-Navy, I think, has been Auburn and Alabama in the Iron Bowl. But after that, when they start telling you about this, it becomes a localized thing. And then I have no patience for people saying that realignment is killing all this, because any of these games can be played. Any of them can be played as the schools want to play them. If they really want to play them, they can play them. They can play them in non-conference. And certainly in basketball. Ohio State, Michigan, moderately national. It's still a Big Ten, upper Midwest type thing. I didn't care about Ohio State and Michigan growing up in West Texas. And I was a big sports fan. I didn't care. I wasn't going to rearrange my schedule for it. When you got crazy people poisoning trees, it becomes a national rivalry. They're at Toomer's Corner. Roll damn Tide. But I'm tired of hearing about it against the backdrop of realignment, against the backdrop of the almighty dollar. If they're doing these things for the almighty dollar, does it not tell you that maybe that I guess there just wasn't enough money in some of these rivalries for them to keep doing it? But any of it could continue. And Texas could play football if they really wanted to, if both teams wanted to. Obviously, both teams don't want to. Kansas, Missouri. Any of these things could continue. It's not because the TV networks are making them not play. If it's so great, the TV networks would be begging TCU and SMU to play. They would be lining up. What day can we make this happen? But it's really not all that, is it? And this the fake outrage about the TCU SMU thing, and 101 times they've gotten together. For the most part of this rivalry, even recently, very recently, nobody cared. They didn't care. The schools didn't care. So why should I care today? Why should I wake up today in West Texas and shed a tear that TCU and SMU in 3 years from now are going to not play football against each other? I've got the proof that nobody cares. I've got proof. Yeah, A&M and Texas get back together. They'll play their games. You know, they didn't play for what, a decade or so? Maybe a little bit more than a decade. Life goes on. But it's faux outrage. Because again, any of this could change at any moment if the, quote, powers that be wanted to change. Now, it takes two teams to tango, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, there you go. That's how the game gets played. Or doesn't get played. But for the most part, a lot of these so-called sacred things are really only sacred to a small area. The vast majority of people just don't care. It's proven. It's documented. It's right there in black and white. And again, I would say to you, the people that are saying these are being destroyed by money, if they're all that great, if these rivalry games are all that important, if they're the end-all be-all, then the money would be there, and the people providing the money would demand that they play it. Right? But they don't. Nobody cares that West Texas State and Eastern New Mexico have a rivalry game either. They do? Do they really? Does it have a name? I don't know. Hell, I lived in Canyon. Of course, when I was there, West Texas State was in the Missouri Valley Conference. I don't remember. They were playing pretty good teams back then. Not bagging on WT right now. Not doing that. All right, last few minutes of the show tonight going to belong to you. It is Bandwagon Wednesday. The bandwagons are on, the bandwagons are off. Does the Big 12 need to consider a name change? Are you excited that Yormark's coming to Lubbock? I'm going to speak of the Red Raider Club kickoff luncheon. Now, typically, kind of the coaches get interviewed by the coaches and stuff, and you've seen Robert Giovanetti up there. Tom Stone has done some interviews, which is pretty cool. So you got that going for us. I don't know if Yormark will consent to be interviewed. He may just grab a mic and just start walking around the crowd like Phil Donahue circa 1981 and start interviewing people out there. And then the Big 12 done expanding for now, which they got what they wanted day one. When all this process, and we kind of go back a week on this, but the Big 12 got exactly what they wanted at the end of the day. They wanted 4 more teams. And I'm talking after the Bob Bowlby initiated. We'll give him credit. Brett Yormark gave him credit on the Sports Business Journal podcast today. of going out and getting UCF, Cincinnati, whatever else schools are coming in. BYU, I think, is coming in. Somebody else, maybe Houston, yeah. And then to get the 4 more, they got the 4 more they wanted. Damon says it's the game for the wagon wheel between West Texas and Eastern Mexico. Yeah, if I knew that, I forgot that. Lance Leinert going to be really mad at me. Phil Woodall going to be mad at me. Chris says Yormark knows what the crown jewel of the Big 12 is located at. Yeah, this will be at least his 3rd trip, maybe 4th trip out here. And there may be some more that we just didn't know about. I think it's at least his 3rd, maybe in an official capacity type deal. Would the Arizona State rivalry be the biggest rivalry in the new Big 12? No. Holy War. Utah and BYU, bigger than Bear Down versus Forks Up. I would put that above. I would put Holy War. And then Arizona State, 2 in-state rivals. Obviously, that counts for something. Even though at different times they don't seem to be highly motivated by that. Farmageddon's got to take its place somewhere now. Farmageddon moving on up in the rivalry pecking order. And then it's Texas Tech versus everybody else. No rivals need apply. Texas Tech will have no rivals. They just beat everybody. I might really like the fried cheese at Spanky's. Been a New York guy. Be interested to get his take on Tex-Mex and some of the West Tex cuisine. That might be interesting. See what he's kind of gotten into. If he's had the opportunity, take him over to Abuelo's, have a nice meal there. That would be pretty good. What are we doing here? Where are we? Rivalry is greater than the Iron Skillet. Yeah, absolutely. I am fine with the Big 12 remaining as the Big 12 name. I do think there is still some brand value in it for now, and particularly as you've winnowed out some conferences, i.e. the Pac-12, and the ACC is kind of offing itself that, and now you do sort of have some brand equity to it. For those getting in just now, we had talked earlier about, do you take a number out of your conference name? The big conference. The really big conference. The bigger than Dallas conference. Do you take a number out? See, that's where the SEC all those years ago, they were smart. The ACC, they were smart. They didn't have a number in their name. They didn't know any better. Southwest Conference, I still think would be great to revive, but I don't think we can do that. Any other bandwagons that you were on? You may jump in on that tonight. And then we'll go as long as we got it. Maybe Rob Bro had it right. The Big American Conference. The BAC. Hold on. That's not very good. Yeah, we never even thought about that. But BAC might not be exactly what some of the schools and the athletic departments are looking for. The Big American. I think he copyrighted that. I'm not really sure. It's entirely possible that he did. You guys can text in 806-772-0197. That's how we read your text messages if you are on Twitter Live and on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, we hardly recommend that you do. And if you're not following us on Twitter, although most of you are, at Ryan Hyatt Media, or following us on X or whatever it is. And then, of course, many of you are watching this on Facebook Live. We appreciate that. Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland there on Facebook. All right, we're going to shut her down for tonight. Got some other stuff coming up this evening that we'll link to as well. We have to say goodbye first to the wonderful people on Twitter and on YouTube. So it asked me, do you really want to end the broadcast? Yeah, we'll end the broadcast.